Welcome, guys. Today we are going to talk about brand new planners. These are some old planners that I have. This is my current planner here, and I have this hybrid twines and paper planner that I got in 2025. And then I have these planners that I got to try out the plans. I got the 2025 versions to try them out before 2026. So I just want to a lot of people are getting their planners and wondering where they should start. And here is my suggestion. My suggestion is that yes, you take it out of the plastic. So we're going to pretend that this is my new 2026 planner, even though this is 2025. I have not yet received 2026. But I suggest you take it out, thumb through it, look at what it has, make sure that the pages are printed properly and there's no glaring errors or anything like that. And then I suggested that you stop and pause. So many people get so eager to get into this book. We have 2.5 months before this book becomes useful, this new book that you've received. And 2.5 months is a long time. A lot can happen in 2.5 months that you might not realize. And your planning needs or the way in which you plan can change very drastically in that time. So if you were with me earlier today, today is actually Thursday, the 16th. So I'm showing you my watch that, it's in the evening on Thursday. Earlier today, I filmed my November monthly setup. So we filmed this earlier today. I will link that up in the corner if you're interested. And I mentioned that I wanted to get this done today because I am going to be starting a new job and it's going to involve travel. And I wanted to know what my schedule looked like for November in case they wanted me to travel. Well, my very first day, so we are currently here on the 16th, and my very first day is going to be on Tuesday, and I will be traveling Tuesday through Friday. So my very first day on my new job is going to be traveling to the job site in another state, and I'll be gone for 4 days. So just in a few weeks, this has changed drastically. It's going to change even more uh, before the end of the year. I don't even know for sure what next month is going to look like. So that's why I wanted to get something structured in here. Uh, you have no idea what your life is really going to look like come January 1st. Yeah, I shouldn't say no idea. You probably have some idea. And for many of us, life will look the same come January 1st. But this time last year, in October of 2024, my partner was out of work and we had no plans to move to another state at that point. He was interviewing all over the place, but we had no idea where we would end up. And so anything that I might have done to prepare in this book, which I have here, this was the beginning of 2025. Anything that I might have done to prepare this at that point in time would have not been useful. So, if you have certain styles that you like to go with, that things that you're going to use, like the tabs, um, you can go ahead and set up some of that structure if you're used to it. But if you are new to planning, there are many, many different ways of setting up tabs. So I've got just a couple here. This one has January all through December going all the way down the side. This is in this full year, this is a half year in which I have the tabs kind of repeating behind one another. So for monthly, weekly, and daily, they all have January to June, and they're all stacked behind one another. That is how I like doing it in this particular book. And I still, as you can see in my current book, have that same setup, right? We have monthly, weekly, and daily, and they're all stacked here as well. Then I got this plans to try out, and I decided to try and put the numbers aligned, or the not numbers, but the tabs aligned with the months. So you can see this kind of gray area here, where these grayed month areas are. That is where I put the tabs. I decided to try it to see if I like it, and I don't like it at all. So it feels like that could work, but for me, that is not going to work. And so I'm glad that I tried it with some old tabs that I didn't need on a planner that I didn't want to use next year. Had I done this on the planner that I want to use with tabs that I had just purchased for next year, I'd be pulling all these off. I'd be trying to rearrange them into different places, and it would just be messy and not end up looking nice. So if you have some old tabs or something like that, go ahead and play. If you know for sure where you want them to go, also go ahead and put those on. But when it comes to all this stuff in the beginning, we don't always know exactly what we want to do with all of this stuff in the beginning. So when you get your planner, I suggest that you get yourself some Post-its. And I like to use these little flag Post-its. And so what I do when I get my planner is I will open it up and think, what do I want to put here? Now, in this case, I could put my, birthdays and holidays. I think the one that I have the most of is going to be 7 lines, and that might not feel like quite enough here. So, and again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't even have, all of the months. So I think that this is supposed to be for, because this is a half book, right? So this is our volume 1. This is January to June. Now, see, if I had just gotten really eager and jumped in here, I might have thought that I could use this as a future log. What this is really meant to be is this is meant to house any information that you have on events that are happening in the first 4 months of your next book, your second book. And so this will be appointments for volume 2. And I'm just going to write that that's what I'm intending to use it for. I'm not going to put anything on the page yet. We're just going to put appointments for volume 4. One of the other nice things about these is you can try setting up where you want your tabs using these as well. They are about the same. They're a little bit wider, but not too much. So you can see how your tabs are going to look on that. Look at each spread and figure out what goes here. How do I want to record information here? Now, originally, I had thought this would make a great habit tracker, because that's what I've used it for often in the past. So I thought when I first got this book, okay, well, that's going to be a habit tracker. And then I got further into the book and realized they have got dedicated full pages for habit tracking. Now on the next one, these are going to be horizontal. It's going to look different, but that's fine. Habit tracker goes here. Now I can move it and I know that I still have this page free. So let's instead make this our index the way I did in my Hobonichis. So if you haven't seen my old Hobonichi, let me grab one so that I can show you what I mean. I have indexed my Hobonichi here in the front. So if I want to find, for example, the honey bun hunt, that is on August 11th. So if I go here to August and find the 11th, and I'm going to hold this up for a minute because I don't know what all is on all these pages. The honey bun hunt is here on the 11th. This was a time when we wanted to find frosted honey buns in town and which stores carried them. And so we went on a hunt to try and find them because a lot of stores only carry unfrosted honey buns, right? So this is one of those things that I can find things very easily using this particular page as an index. However, in my current setup, I don't have that. And so I haven't been having to use that for that purpose. I guess I shouldn't say I don't have it, but I don't have daily pages in the back here. These pages are just blank. They're not daily. So recording something on here doesn't make any sense. So I have been using it as more of a habit tracker. And so that was initially my thought when I saw it. But now that I have dedicated pages for each day, using it as an index again makes sense. So I probably will do that. Now, I also have a whole bunch of blank pages at the back. I think there's about 40 of them. So where do I index those? My thought is that I can probably index those at the bottom here or in the top, somewhere like that. I don't know, but I'll need to find a place to index those if I decide that that's something that I need to do. And that'll have to be separate from this because I don't have extra room within, this only really covers those daily spreads. Then I've got this plain page. Do I want to put a vision board? Do I just want to do stickers? I have no idea. But people get very, very excited to get in here and start throwing things on every single page. And the thing is, you are not necessarily, unless you have used the exact same planner for the exact same thing over and over and over again, you're not necessarily going to know exactly what you want on this planner. So go ahead and take some time with it. Figure out, here we've got 3 boxes. What do I want these 3 boxes to mean for 2025? Maybe put a flag on each box here. And what is going to live on those boxes? And if I want to get, really meticulous with this, I can take this and cut it to the size of the box. I could put also I might have a larger Post-it, and maybe that would actually fit right in there. Be pretty close. So if I have these 3 boxes and I want to figure out what goes in them, I can just put these Post-its on here. 1, 2, 3. And figure out what's going to live on these pages right here without having to write things and mark things and all of that. I suggest that you wait until, sometime in December, before you really start filling this in, because by December, you should at least know what the beginning of your year is going to look like. And so that's typically when you're doing your goal setting. So things like our annual goals, we can kind of start figuring out what those are. But for example, let's look at this year. And let's look at some of my goals. Now, this is always very personal, and I always feel very strange getting into here. But one of my personal goals for the year was to convert our bus into an RV. However, the bus is still back in a storage area back by where we used to live. So it's not even here. I would have to drive 5.5 hours to get to the bus. So this goal completely changed for the year, as did quite a few of these. I had filled these in November of last year, which was a little bit early. And so I am, some of these things were not useful to me. So I had actually also done goal setting, I believe, in here. Maybe. Yep, we looked at goals, and this is where I got them from. Now, I like to divide my goals up by, different elements, and so they cover different areas of life, and then I divide my spread up into knowledge, skills, and habits. The knowledge, skills, and habits that I need to achieve whatever those goals are. But again, look at what I ended up using this page for. I ended up using it to try and come up with colors for different things, looking at the difference between my Tombow reds or my Tombow blues, things like that. And it really didn't end up serving me at all. Same with this particular spread. I didn't stay in this book very long, so I didn't use it for very long. But so many people seem so anxious to get into the book, and I often see come January so many people online in the different planner communities being so upset that they have ruined their planner. And a lot of it stems from getting into the planner too early before you really know what you want to do in the next year. Let's say that this goal is that I have a goal here that I want to, I'm going to go with a wild one. Let's say I want to make a living with YouTube, right? So I want to replace my income and make a living with YouTube. That's what we're going to say my goal is. That is a long-term goal for me. However, there are 2.5 months left in the year. What if I achieve it before this year even starts? Before I even move into this book. So having a goal set like that is great. Now I've got the goal here. It's on this little removable Post-it. So if I'm not, if I achieve it, or let's say I change my mind, let's say I decide I really love this new job that I start next week, and I don't want that as a goal anymore because I do want to keep the job indefinitely. These are all now removable. I can take them off and I can replace it with a new goal. Again, same with the quarters. And I don't recommend doing the quarters until you get to the quarter. So that's one of the things that I really liked about the plans by Just Scribble, is that you do kind of move through it intuitively. So this is all of your upfront setup here. And then you have your 2025 goals, and then your 2025 page, and then your goals, where you're going to set up annual goals, and then you're going to move on to the first quarter. Maybe you do another vision board here. Maybe you do another sticker page here. I don't know what happens on this page for you. I don't even know what happens on this page for me yet. But quarter one, you're going to figure out which of your annual goals, or which of the things you want to focus on quarter one. What do you want to pay attention to? This is your main quarter one page. You could maybe have each of the months up here. So maybe I've decided that this is going to be January, February, and March. So maybe I'm going to put kind of highlights of the month. Maybe I'm going to put a picture for each month of, maybe one of my goals is to lose weight and get in better shape. And I want to put a picture of myself for each of those months. I don't know what that's going to be yet. And so I don't know how I want to use it yet. So again, take it slow. If this is pictures for the year, and I've decided that already, and I can't put a January picture in there anyway because I don't have one yet. So maybe that's what this page is, maybe not. Figure out which goals you're going to focus on for that first quarter and do it at the beginning of the quarter. Because again, you don't want to be going and filling in goals for this second, for the second quarter, for quarter two. You don't want to be filling in this page in December. You want to be filling in this page for quarter one in December because these are your immediate goals. You might have some ideas about what's going to happen in quarter two. Use your Post-its and keep those in there until you get close to quarter two. It will keep your planner much more useful because you will not have a bunch of outdated information in your planner. If you go in and you try and fill in everything all at once, you'll end up with a lot of outdated information in your planner and it will not feel useful. It will start to feel like it's a chore because you have to fit things around other things. So just focus on what's coming up soon. You may notice that so we've got these habit trackers, and then we're going to have a blank page, and then we have our quarter one spread. For me, this particular spread is a when did I last? So I think I did one over here as kind of an example. So when did I last do all of these different things? So work on the coffee maker or the car. When did I last do something with the car? When did I have self-care, things like haircuts and stuff like that? When do I have tickets for things? When are people coming into town? And then the little carrots were the YouTube videos once I started making YouTube videos. So that is how I like to use this. And then if I have any notes about the things that I've done, I can put them over here. But I like to use that page that way, but you might have something different in mind. I might find a different use for this before the beginning of the year. So right now, I think it's going to be, when did I last? But I don't know for sure, and I won't until it gets closer to the time that I'm actually going to use the book. Then we move into January. Again, I don't know what these are going to be. Maybe I'm going to do 10-day increments and figure out what I looked like in 10-day increments and take little pictures. Maybe I'm going to do the books that I'm reading for the month up here, and I can put their titles in here. I have no idea what that's going to be yet. So I don't need to have it all figured out. Then you have your calendar. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that we have done calendar setups in this Just Plans. And the reason that we set up October. Here's October. And then we just set up November. The reason that we did them in here is because I did start working ahead in this book. So I have a little bit of November filled out. I have a little bit of December filled out. And because of that, I can't do a full plan with me. Because of that, also, though, I do have very important things like when I have tickets are in here, holidays are in here, things like that. Ultimately, this will look the same as this. And actually, it will look the same by tomorrow so that when I talk to my new boss, I can, and they're inevitably going to tell me that I need to go back to Florida at some point in November, I'll have a very good idea here of what's going on. However, I don't necessarily recommend doing more than this ahead. So if we look at November here in my weeks, vertical weeks, one of the things that I am very sad about is that I already put these in. Now they're very cute and I like them, and I'm not sad that I got them. I am sad that I put in these holidays ahead of time, the fun holidays, because I don't get to decide where those go on a regular basis. So this is my page for this week. I'm a little bit behind on marking things off, but I'm not behind on getting things done. I have been getting a lot done this week. But I have these here already, and I have to work around them. I can't, put my washi strip up here, for example, because I've already got these stuck in. I really wish I hadn't done that. I wish that I had weeks that were completely blank. And I really don't have another one of those at all in this book. So again, one of the things I had chosen to do a black and white theme last week. And the reason was because it was one of the very few weeks that I didn't have any of those little stickers. So you never really know necessarily how you're going to use your planner. So I recommend just kind of waiting. Fortunately, I have not yet filmed next week because this is next week. And now all of a sudden I'm going to be traveling for these 4 days. And so that's going to be a totally different setup and totally different needs than what I thought I was going to do for this week. So again, you don't necessarily know ahead of time. So I recommend kind of moving through your planner as in that particular way. So you can put your January monthly items in here on Post-its until you get close to January. Maybe you've got a surgery. I have a surgery that my partner is having in December, and it has moved 3 times so far. So, maybe it's on the 3rd right now, but maybe, your surgeon calls and says, hey, you know what, I'm going to be out of town that week. I need to move you to the 14th. And you can just do this and move it to the 14th. I suggest doing that at the beginning when you first get your planner. Don't put anything permanent in here yet. Again, because if you want your planner to feel peaceful to you, you are not going to want to be getting in here and immediately whiting out all the things and putting, white out everywhere in your brand new awesome planner. If you want to put a little decoration on the days that you're not using or around the edges, things like that, that's all fine. If you know you're not going to use the weekends and you want to put something on the weekends, again, that's all your call. But my suggestion is to just kind of wait and do it close to the time. Then we're going to have this 2-page spread. I've seen a lot of people that want to use this as budgeting. I think that sounds like a great idea. So let's put that this is going to be a budget. And again, this is a 2025. So this is not the planner I'm going to use, but when I do get my planner, this is what I'm going to do. And since I've seen so many people getting their planner already and kind of diving in, it makes me really nervous. Then the weeklies, I'm going to save those and do those as I go along. And then I don't know what this is going to look like every week. And I don't know exactly how I'm going to want to use these dailies every week. So we'll come up with that as we go along. So that is kind of how I would approach it. I would not do anything permanent to this right away. I would put a clear cover on it to make sure that you've protected it. And then I would take whatever planner you're in now or some scratch paper or something along those lines. And I'm going to come here to the back to see where I wrote it because I have already started. Figuring out what I want for 2026. So where did I think it was right before here. So let's go back and look around. I'm not seeing it. Oh, here we go. Yep, it's right here. So where did I put that? Did I not write it in here? I didn't. That's why. Okay, so normally I would have this written down in my index here, and I did not. So I'm going to go ahead and just write it over here that on page 45 I have 2026 planner needs. So I've already done this. I would suggest that you guys do something like that. I have decided which planner I want. I want clear covers, and then I want a cover, a cloth cover for that, very similar to, like this cover. So I want the clear covers for the planner themselves. So those are these clear covers. And then I want a cover like this, and then a cover on cover. So the clear cover that's on this cover, this outside cover. So I know I want 2 of the clear covers, and then I only need 1 Hobonichi cover because this is what I'm getting next year is the Just Scribble plan. So it comes with a volume 1 and a volume 2. So I want each one of these books to have a clear cover on it. And then I just need 1 of the cloth covers to put whichever book I'm using in. I've looked at what I want for monthly stuff. And obviously stuff is not a great word to use, but it makes sense to me in this regard. So I want monthly tabs. I made a note here that I have some gray ones. So if I decide I want that, I don't need to buy that. I want blank tabs for quarters and habits. I want the washi paper monthly kits. These are being released later this month. I want new and full moon stickers. I want the witchy holidays plus the wheel of the year. I've noted which studio or which Etsy shop I want to order those from. I want the holidays. I want the rabbit that I believe I mentioned in my planner setup, that at the beginning of every month I have the Papershire rabbits because of that whole Farmer's Almanac. You're supposed to say rabbit on the first of every month, the first thing when you wake up. And so I have already ordered those. So you can see a little check mark here because I've already got them. Then the weekly things that I want, I have Monday to Friday meal plan stickers. I've got plenty of those, plenty of weather, my Kim Call stickers, date night stickers, and then the tiny icons. So I will do a quick assessment sometime in December of where I'm at on these tiny icons and make sure that I have all of those. So those are the main things that I think I need for my planner. So while I am waiting to use this, and I am not doing all the things in it, I know that I am getting all of the things that I need in order to make this planner useful. So I will have all the tools, and I will put them somewhere with the new planner. And that will just sit somewhere ready for me come December. December and June are my big getting into a new planner month. So through the month of December and through the month of June, I am always preparing my next 6-month planner. So I'm getting it ready. I'm transferring over any of the collections that I like to keep. So, for example, my canning pantry, right? This is something that I'm going to need to transfer over. Everything that is still living in my canning pantry needs to move into the next book. Obviously, everything that I have X'd off, that doesn't go into the next book. So that I know so every 6 months I have a fresh start on the canning pantry. And I know what things that I need to make to keep us well stocked in the pantry. So those kind of things I start moving over in the month before. When I have little pockets of time here and there, I will just do 1 or 2 pages at a time. And then by the time the month starts, I have all of my background material that I want to keep in here, and I am ready to hit the ground running. I will usually at that point have the first month planned. I do that sometime around a week or 2 before the end of the last month. And so I'll have that all ready to go. But I won't fully move in until the time starts. And that's, I think, the best thing the best advice that I can give you is I know that you're going to get it and you're going to want to put all the stickers and all the things all over. One of the things that made me so incredibly sad is I thought I was going to move into a Twines and Paper Week book hybrid. And I had gotten all of the cute little Coffee Monster Co. things. And I had gotten it all set up for January. And then I didn't end up staying in this book. And so now I don't have these in my Sterling ink. So if you look at January in my Sterling ink, I have had to just use some of the washi stickers from before because I don't have the coordinating washies like I do on all the other months of the year. Now, in the grand scheme of things, would anyone notice other than me that this one is totally different? Probably not, because nobody's going to really go through and look at it that way. But I notice. And so I really wish that I had gone through and tried to figure out how I was going to use this first. Because if I had, I think I probably would have realized before I did all of the things to it, I cut things and put things in. I think I would have realized I had all my stickers in. I think I would have realized that I didn't want to be in this book if I had gone through with some Post-its. And then I could have sold the book to somebody who would have used it and been really, really happy with it. And I could have moved into my Sterling ink from day one. So again, it's your book and your planner. You do you. If you get super excited and you want to rip it open and do all the things to it right away when you first get it, that's all you. But a word of caution, especially for people who haven't done this before, stickers end up costing a lot by the time you get all the stickers, and the planners are not inexpensive either. So by the time you get all the things that you want for your planner, you really want it to be something that you love and enjoy using throughout the year.